Hey guys, it's Lord Starscream 100 here with a special video that sort of acts as an update. For those of you who don't know, July 19th was the 1-year anniversary of Jurassic Shark 2: The Retribution. So last summer the first two parts of the film were released on July 19th. Part 3 was released on July 20th, while Part 4 was released on July 28th. After a month and a half wait, the 5th part was released on September 12th, with Part 6 coming out in early November. Part 7 to 12 then aired on YouTube throughout the rest of November and December, with the full movie being released on December 24th. So those are the release dates for the film. Why are they important? Because this video, dubbed Retribution Resolution, actually provides more details on the journey it was to get the film done. Regardless of what you think of Jurassic Shark 2, there is much more that went on behind the scenes. Things that actually pushed the film to the brink of being changed entirely or even cancelled. So it's time to tell the story of what went down last summer with the filming of Jurassic Shark 2: The Retribution. Take note that this story is a detailed view of what happened. So in late March 2013, filming for Jurassic Shark 2 officially kicked off, with the release date of June 8, 2013 set in stone. The film was set to star John M. as Chase Landon in a returning role, and Russell P. as Russell Griffin.
I have a plan!
Other main characters included Gabe S. as Gabe Reynolds, and Will M. as Eddie Jackson.
Action!
Throughout the rest of the month and for a few days in April, the film was shot with Jacob D. as well as younger cast members Ben M., John M., Will M., and Nick S. We were doing pretty well with filming, but for some reason after April 26, filming stopped abruptly and entirely for all of May. The younger cast began to lose interest in shooting the film, excluding Ben M., who actually had an interest in doing it. In the meantime, there were scheduling conflicts with the older cast members Russell P. and Gabe S., and by early June the film was derailed from its June 8th release date. On June 8th and 9th, back-to-back, Russell, Gabe, and I kicked off their part of the film. Over the 2 days we shot a whole bunch of scenes, and actually over the 2 days we shot more scenes than we'd filmed over the past month and a half. With a decent amount of footage, the trailer was released on June 11th to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Jurassic Park. With the younger cast, we only filmed for 2 days in June. The first day was on June 9th, where they filmed a little with Russell and Gabe, and the second day was on June 15th. Since they weren't interested in filming anything, we shot the scene where Carter and Eddie are training on the school playground. The only reason I kept the scene in the film was because it served as an introduction for Carter. After shooting the playground scene, which involved no real acting, there was another month until we began filming again on July 6th. On this day, Russell filmed a couple of scenes with the younger cast. A few days later, on July 11th and 12th back-to-back, we shot a couple of small scenes with the younger cast. The 2-day shoot was done because they were heading off on vacation, which would once more derail the planned July 19th release date. Fortunately, enough footage was shot to get the first 4 parts of the film out over a 9-day period. Unfortunately, the situation was now at its worst point yet. The younger cast was both refusing to film and to see me, because they thought that every time I would see them I would ask them to film. While we were extremely behind on filming, it was having a negative effect on a lot of things. But ultimately I rarely asked them to film because they would always say no. With no access to the younger cast, we were stuck. Not only were we about halfway through filming, but we'd filmed scenes from all across the movie, so it was impossible to make any major rewrites so that we could wrap things up sooner. Even as the film began airing on YouTube in the later half of July, no filming was going on, and they still weren't seeing me. So it wasn't until July 29th that Russell and Gabe met up to film again. At this point, the younger cast resumed contact with me, although due to the collapse of the hammerhead shark and various disruptions from them,
Since we had the better guns, we should be going after the hammerhead shark.
Will, stop!
Oh.
95% of what we filmed that day had to be scrapped and refilmed later on in September. Without any doubt, the younger cast's respect for the film was completely gone. So as August came around, we still weren't getting anywhere with the younger cast. During our first major attempt to film Carter's death on August 14th, since the first time we tried to do it the younger cast refused to, the hammerhead shark fell apart again. It underwent major repairs for about 2 weeks, and then on August 16th, we filmed the scene where Chase, Eddie, and Nate hunt for the crocodile shark. While it took nearly an hour to get ready to film for some reason, we did wind up finishing the scene. In reality, it was the only productive scene shot with just the younger cast over the summer, and it was the last scene to be filmed during the summer as well. Miraculously, things actually started to get better in September. With a new camera and a rebuilt hammerhead shark, we jumped back into filming. Previously in either July or August, I can't remember exactly when, I told John, Will, and Nick that if they finished shooting the second movie, then they could drop out of the then being planned Jurassic Shark 3 without any persuasions to stay. At this time, Will said he wouldn't want to be in Jurassic Shark 3, while John said he would debate his decision, and Nick said he would still have an interest in returning. Take note that their decisions did wind up slipping around all the time. Anyway, for a total of 8 separate days in September, we filmed with both the younger and older casts before coming to a second stop for almost 3 weeks. With winter approaching fast, I persuaded the younger cast to jump back into filming on October 14th, which wound up being the last day I shot with John and Will. But they were on the set 4 days later after we filmed Ben M on the 16th. On October 18th, we filmed Brett Nelson's death scene, which wound up being the final scene I shot with Ben and Nick, as well as the younger cast altogether. Prior to filming the scene, I promised Nick S that this would be his final scene he would ever have to film, as he had switched his decision to dropping out of the third movie. So after the scene was completed, Nick wound up changing his decision back to being in the third film, as long as they shot scenes that were worth doing. Because Brett Nelson's death scene involved this big fight with the hammerhead shark, and it was also a very exciting and physical shoot as well. But following the filming of this scene, John and Will refused to film again. With only 4 scenes left with John and Will, the pressure was at its highest point. October 19th was spent filming How to Avoid a Creepy Guy in the Woods, while there were several other days afterwards where solo scenes with me as Simon were shot, at times with help from Jacob D. But the film was still incomplete. After a 2-month wait, Part 6 was released on November 11th. As November progressed, I began rewriting the final scenes that still had to be filmed. And at long last, on November 21st, Russell P. filmed his part of the final scene at our high school, because he wouldn't be able to make it on November 23rd. And on November 23rd, Gabe S. and I filmed the final scenes of the movie, as the rewrites I made allowed him to replace Chase and Eddie in their final scenes. At first, there were set to be 2 ending scenes, one for Chase and Dan, and another for Jimmy and Nate. Afterwards would be Russell and Gabe's final scene. I actually wrote the first 2 parts of the ending scene, and I felt that it would actually have really built it up more, but the younger cast did not want to do it still, so unfortunately the 2 scenes wound up being scrapped. So at long last, this marked the end of filming for Jurassic Shark 2: The Retribution.
We're done. That's it. Congratulations.
It continued airing on YouTube throughout November and December, before finally concluding on December 18th. After a year of difficult production, the project had finally come to a close. The aftermath of Jurassic Shark 2's production is another story. Up to July 2014, the younger cast stopped communicating with me. I had not seen Nick S. since before the second film was actually completed, and I only saw Ben, John, and Will at least 2 times in February and March. But on July 31st, Jacob D. and I inadvertently came across Ben, John, Will, and Nick in the cul-de-sac. But ultimately, they brought up the subject almost immediately. Nick said that they didn't want to be in Jurassic Shark 3 and that they didn't care about it, which I obviously realized on my own. But Ben, John, and Will then added that they saw the bloopers for Jurassic Shark 2 and thought that they were better than the actual film itself. Without a response, Jacob D. and I left. While I was very shocked at what they said, I did realize what this all meant. After a year of work on Jurassic Shark 2, the response from the younger cast was, after everything we had done, that our mistakes were better than our accomplishments. To have a critic or a member of the audience say this to you can be a disappointment, but to have the people you worked so hard with say this, and that the project was horrible, it's not something that you can really accept in your mind that easily. I dedicated a lot of time to getting Jurassic Shark 2 finished, as I do to all my projects, whether it's a big film or a short film. I've known the younger cast for many years, and when they, the people who worked on it, treated it like it was nothing, I was just speechless. Even as their decisions slipped around all the time, Ben M, for one, was always positive that he would be in Jurassic Shark 3, and he always said he was looking forward to it. Did I mind? No, I didn't mind. I was happy that he was happy about it. But when he said this, I realized what his outlook on the series was, and when they all said this, I realized what their overall view on the series was from their perspective. I don't mind them not wanting to be in Jurassic Shark 3. It's entirely their decision, which I will always respect, but really it's not something they have to make a big deal about. There is no more partnership between any of us, and with that, I have absolutely no interest in having Ben, John, Will, and Nick back in Jurassic Shark 3. None of them have any respect for what we're doing anymore. Maybe one day, they'll realize what we did, how we did it, why we did it, and what makes it so special. Because we really had a blast doing it in the beginning. And as time went on, yeah, things wore down, okay? Why it went down this way is out of my understanding. Sometimes you'll have to make decisions that could mean a lot, but just remember to make one that has the outcome that you're aiming for. This goes for them, and this goes for anyone who's out to make a decision that means so much as this one did. It affects them more than it affects me. And with that, I bid a final farewell to the younger cast of the Jurassic Shark series. Jurassic Shark 2 is officially our final project together. In the meantime, the older cast of my films continued to expand, and we went on to make various other films such as the Creepy Guy in the Woods trilogy. We've had a ton of fun doing it, and we definitely plan on having more fun with our films in the future. So that's how we finished Jurassic Shark 2 The Retribution. A huge thank you goes out to Russell and Gabe for their tremendous efforts to get the film completed. And without them, we definitely wouldn't have gotten anywhere. But that's pretty much what went down last summer with Jurassic Shark 2 The Retribution. If you have any questions on the subject, feel free to ask them below. This is Lord Starscream 100, thanks for watching.